Check me out. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Mile High Mentors podcast. Very, very happy to have you here. My name is Connor Doobie. I am your host each and every episode, and I would really appreciate it if you checked us out on SoundCloud, on Instagram. You can find me on those platforms as well. Give us a follow. Give us some feedback. Give us your comments. We would really appreciate it. Everything we do is based upon the feedback from you guys. Are awesome listeners, whether you're here in Colorado or you're outside the state, or maybe you're even internationally, which is just awesome. And again, just appreciate you listening. Appreciate your attention. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Denver Open Media. You can check them out at denveropenmedia.org. They provide all the space, the tools, the technology resources to create awesome video, audio content that's just super high quality. They have studios there, and it's non-expensive to use their equipment, to use their space, to get training, take classes there to understand how to run media content. And then also they take your content, they actually broadcast it on TV, they broadcast it on radio. So be sure to go check out those guys at denveropenmedia.org. We are also brought to you by Active Blogs, is a major sponsor of this podcast. Active Blogs is a marketing agency that does custom blogs, white papers, newsletters for B2B companies, mainly focused in the technology space, but they've been in a lot of different industries over their 17-year history. So be sure to go check them out, activeblogs.com. They also just recently launched a personal branding and LinkedIn social selling service for thought leaders and experts and personal brands in those same industries. So again, activeblogs.com. Be sure to go check them out. Today's podcast, man, this was such a fun one to do. I did not know what to expect when I brought Joyce onto the podcast, but we were all absolutely blown away and just excited when she had left. This woman is a mentor and tutor and social media trainer for folks in the baby boomer generation is the main area she focuses in on. At the age of 61, she was crushing her peers that were younger than her at growing their company's social media profiles and engaging on social media, and basically went out on her own and now does training for the baby boomer age group. And her energy is like, I couldn't keep up with her. It was just so exciting. I think she said she was 69. Sorry, Joyce, if I butcher that, but I believe she's 69. And she literally, I think she said that her thing is like she's the millennial in a shell, or millennial in a something like that. But it was really cool. She has this like just really incredible energy to her. But her story is super fascinating, just how she's kind of come up, who she's turned to for mentorship, and how she's providing mentorship to other people, and how she's like just out there still hustling and grinding, growing her business right now, and just providing value to folks that are just feeling really left behind with technology. And so I'm again super excited. You guys listen into the podcast. Go follow Joyce. She's a really cool gal. And so without further ado, Joyce Feustel, sorry, last name issues. Joyce, welcome to the podcast. Joyce, we are live. Really, really appreciate you coming to join us in the studio today, and Facebook Live, and everyone listening in. I'm very excited to have you here because you are a mentor very much for the baby boomer generation and other generations, but you're really helping some of the baby boomer generation where they're with social media, and you're a stud, by the way. Like, I know millennial marketers that just could not even keep up with you. Like, you just have great intuition on social media and being able to use the platforms and everything like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so very excited to have you here. Let's kind of roll back from the beginning, because I'm much more interested to kind of hear your backstory a little bit. Tell us a little bit where you're from, what your childhood was like, and kind of growing up and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, that'll be great. Well, I was born in December 1948, so I'm one of the older peeps in the baby boomer generation. My mom was a teacher in the 1940s, and so when I came of age to go to college in the, say, late 60s, I figured I'd be a teacher. See, back then, girls especially, let's see, what could they be? Teacher, nurse, secretary, factory worker, well, mom, of course. But I mean, seriously, one hand maybe. Some of those people did other things, some of those women did, but I was pretty traditional. I went to college, so I left the dairy farm where I grew up, oldest of four, kind of like to be an in-charge person. That was part of my responsibility, and went to Madison, Wisconsin, hotbed of liberalism. Or as my dad's poker friend said, how could you send your daughter to that commie university? You got to realize Joe McCarthy graduated from my high school. You might have heard of him. Senator Joe, kind of not always the best guy, in 1 year. That's a whole other backstory. But there's a plaque in my high school honoring him. He was a good guy. That's how conservative the part of the world I was in, too.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other discussion. But at any rate, so I go to Wisconsin, and it was a bit of a culture shock. And university, right during Vietnam era, all kinds of protests. I mean, one semester, they just shut down all the classes and said, we're giving you pass-fail. I'm like, what? What about the classes? I'm not getting my parents' money's worth, right? So at any rate, I graduated in 1971, thought I'd be a teacher. But there were a lot of us thinking we'd be teachers, and by then the sort of Gen Xers had been born, and there just weren't as many kids as there were teachers.
When was the Gen X generation?
There's different views on it, but approximately 1965. So boomers, no one argues with that. We're from 46 to 64 in the years of being born. Like I say, I'm on the older end. Then the Gen Xers came after us. Well, I don't know, maybe I didn't really want to be a teacher deep down. In fact, I got 2 degrees in education, and when I taught a little bit of school part-time after the second one, these were English and then health, I just realized I'm a free spirit that doesn't do well with rules, as my husband of 45 years, that schools, the bells ring, I mean, it's very structured. I mean, all of us have gone to school, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So at any rate, I ended up working in public health education, which is like a public information officer. Then I thought, well, maybe I want to go into nonprofits, so I went and got another degree. And so then I ran
this is
my
third
degree. Yes, from the University of Wisconsin in Madison.
And you're what age at this?
At this point, I got that degree in 80, so I was just turning 31. So I went and ran a nonprofit, but I found out a lot of things about nonprofits that didn't really work for me either. So my husband says, well, honey, how about that baby? We've been talking about that for a while. I'm like, oh, baby, let's go with that. So then
we'll go with the mom job.
Yeah, we'll go with the mom.
Sure.
Yeah, 0.5.
Yeah.
So I was pretty good at that, I think. I don't know. Ask my girls and my husband, he's an amazing father. So in the 80s, I was a home mom. My girls were born, and they're, depending on years, but, essentially millennials, one born in 80 and one in 84. And I did a lot with the community. I was actually an elected official. I was on the county board of supervisors back there for the county where Madison, Wisconsin is, and very involved with the League of Women Voters, things like that. So I came out here in 95 with my husband because he got a job change, knowing no one. Now, I'm the kind of person that gets embedded wherever I am. I'm a little bit of Joyce can go a long ways, if I may sense brand, but it's true, I think. So at any rate, I'm memorable. And therefore, to be wrenched, like my 14-year-old I was telling you about, from the bosom of my friends and my people, my world, was quite, it was like a culture shock, sort of like the way the Madison, Wisconsin experience was, in a different way. So I get out here, and I get involved with my church, and I had that. And then I found Toastmasters. I say before kids and after kids, before Toastmasters and after Toastmasters, before social media and after social media. I mean, they're watershed experiences.
Yeah. And how did you find
Toastmasters?
About when was this?
Okay, that was in 1996. Actually, I joined in 97. It was 20 years ago this year. I found it through my first sales job. So my sales job, selling memberships at the West Chamber of Commerce out in the greater Lakewood, Wheat Ridge, South Jeffco area, that's where I learned about Toastmasters. And how I missed that memo all those years in Madison, I don't know. But I found it, and I loved it. They were my tribe. because I like to look good, and I like that people notice me, and I like to talk, and I like to give feedback, and I liked everything about Toastmasters from the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
Especially I like to mentor people. I mean, there's a lot of ways to be a teacher without being a classroom teacher. Just like there's a lot of ways to minister to people spiritually without having RED in front of your name.
Yeah.
So I found that I could do so much to help other people, not just myself, when I was in Toast, and I'm still in Toastmasters. So at any rate, I would have what I call my day jobs and my Toastmasters. It was like my big passion. And I got into sales, like I said, in 96, and I was in the sales field for about 17 years in intangible sales.
Wow.
You know, Chamber of Commerce, Better Business Bureau, display advertising. The last stint, and the stint that led me into what I do now, was working at the University of Phoenix in enrollment. And
now hold on real quick.
Yeah.
You did that for a while. What kept you in sales for that long?
You know what? I'll be perfectly honest. I fell into it, and I liked it. I like outside sales because I like sitting like this with someone and getting to know them and asking about them. It's just one of my hobbies is getting to meet people and find out how they tick. So I like that part of it. Was always so good at closing the deal, not necessarily, but I, kept my nose clean and hit my numbers basically. So I like the dynamic of sales. That's a really good question.
Yeah. Was there someone in that role that had helped you, like, learn sales? Going from a housewife straight into the sales game is
I worked at my church for a year. Maybe that doesn't count.
Hey, it's still sales.
Right.
It's still
it was
sales.
sort of sales. Yeah, I actually, to back up a minute, before we came here, I was a home mom and involved with the community. Then I went to I had my own business doing, I should put that part in, editing and writing, and I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce. So I had some business contacts in the early 90s that way. Then I worked for my church. I was really called the administrative assistant, but I was a volunteer coordinator, marketing director, office manager. So I had kind of I was a face of the church when you didn't have to have the minister there.
Right.
So
Were you doing digital marketing with the church?
This was 1994.
Okay. So
just to put this in perspective. Good helping keep my timeline straight. So then I came out here and I worked in customer service for a year. With AAA, and then I got into sales because I was doing an informational interview. Here's how it happened. At the Chamber of Commerce out where I lived, the West Chamber, and this lady said, had I ever thought of going into sales? Now, how did I not put two and two together and think my dad was in sales? My dad sold seed corn in the winter because he's like me, Mr. like BSer kind of guy, big chatter. I'm sure he's bored to tears in the winter with not enough to do, so he got into selling seed corn. So I know that I had seed corn to farmers. Farmers have to have seed corn.
Seed corn, gotcha.
Corn
seeds?
Corn seeds.
Okay.
Yeah, we call it that. Corn seeds, so the farmers can plant the corn to grow their corn. He would sell the seeds of corn to the farmers.
Awesome.
And they all got along because he's a farmer and they're a farmer and they'll like to chat together.
Yeah.
He got to be like a district manager. I mean, he moved up. They go to conferences, he and my mom.
Yeah.
It was this whole other side gig. Well, so anyways, I take this test. I guess I did well. I take this test. She says, oh, Joyce, you did well in your test, so how about you come to work for us here at the Chamber of Commerce? I didn't know there was an opening. So I went into a commission-only sales job just on her hour with me and doing well in this test. So that's how I got into sales. Then after about three or four sales jobs, my husband is like, honey, can't you get a salary job? I don't want to paint him as a bad guy. But there are the ups and downs of sales. It's like having your own business. The girls were in college, might be nice to have steady money. But I'll tell you what I experienced in basically 2003 when I was 54 is I felt it was age discrimination. And you paint yourself a picture in a certain field, it can be hard to make a pivot, hard to make a career switch. Easier when you're younger, harder when you're older, I think, in general. This is true. So I just felt like I wasn't getting anywhere trying to do something else. I thought maybe training and going back to my teaching background. I just went back. And then I went, though, into education sales. I thought, well, if I'm going to sell something, at least maybe I'll sell something I'm really excited about, which is going to college. After all, I went myself a bunch of times, right? So it was easy for me to talk to people about that.
And how did the education sales work?
Well, therefore, I was mostly on the phone because I was really more the helper. I was the assistant enrollment advisor. They would give us a list of names to call, and we would call these people to get them to get in front of the enrollment advisor at a specific campus of the University of Phoenix. And then I would set up their appointments through Outlook, through email. And so I supported campuses in several different states. So I was calling the same people the enrollment advisor was calling, But sometimes I'd beat them to the punch and I'd get to them first, and that's how I was measured. So I had a salary job, which was nice. So then if they came in, then that was good too. So there were certain metrics that we had to hit. So that's what I did. It was basically calling people up. Then for a time, I was the actual enrollment advisor, but that didn't go so well, didn't hit my numbers.
Yeah.
At any rate, I went back to being an appointment setter. But then I got a chance, my last sales job before I retired, is the College for Financial Planning. Really neat outfit. They started in 1972. They created the mark of the CFP. You might have, or know, maybe folks have a certified financial planner for a financial advisor. They professionalized that whole industry.
Oh, really?
Oh, they did. Because until the 70s, you have insurance, you had
here in
accounting.
Colorado?
They're right here in the Denver area, down in almost near Lone Tree. They're like in Centennial.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, there was a group of people said we have this kind of coming up type of idea of financial planning, separate from insurance, separate from banking, separate from accounting. It has its own kind of identity. It needs a credential like CPA. We all know CPAs, right? So they created this CFP, Certified Financial Planner. So the college is to this day the premier provider of the distance education. You know, Metro here in town has a ground program, as we call it these days. But the colleges has always been distance, so it's had students from all over the United States.
Yeah.
And, studying books and then iPad and webinars. I don't know if they even ship in books anymore. So there, my job was inside sales, functionally kind of. So I'd be talking to these people from around the United States, helping them decide do they want to advance themselves professionally with these credentials. Well, then, in 2010, now I got there in 06 and stayed till 13. About halfway through, our marketing department in 2010 said, this social media thing we think is sort of catching on. You know what? We're going to make a business page on Facebook for the College for Financial Planning. We're going to get a Twitter account, and we're going to get a group on LinkedIn. They didn't consult us in sales. No, that's marketing. They're making their decisions.
Yeah.
Our sales manager comes to us, okay, folks, we got to get these people engaged. This is your job. And they even paid us $5. I shouldn't know if I say this publicly, but for a little spiff for every Twitter follow, for every like of a
That's
Facebook
pretty good
page.
for
Heck, that's
$5.
hundreds of dollars. I bought my first smartphone with that money, I figure.
Yeah.
So exciting.
How did you get people to go follow your pages back
I
then?
would just say them.
And remind me, which year was this?
Now this is
13?
2010.
2010, okay.
I would say, hey, so are you guys on you use Facebook? Oh, yeah, right. What do you know about business pages? Oh, sure, I know about them. Well, hey, just make a point. I just want you to do us a favor because we're using this a lot now to get the word out. Please just go to, College for Financial Planning's Facebook page and click on like. And Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Easy peasy. So I just asked them and they did. I was the leader of that little spiff incentive pack at 61 years old, mind you. The oldest by far of the team and the most social savvy. Who would have thought? But how did this happen? That may be your question. Get this a lot. Well, about a year earlier, a young guy in my Toastmasters club had left he and his wife had a baby and he couldn't handle the extra, activity. And so he invited me friends on Facebook. I really knowing nothing about Facebook, accepted his friend request. And the next thing I knew, other people wanted to friend me and write on my wall, as they called it. And I didn't know what I was doing. So then I just learned and read books and asked people questions. And then I realized that I was on LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn for 2.5 years doing nothing. I remember, in fact, just last night I ran across a message. The lady who invited me in, she said, "Oh, Alma, I'm following your advice." I wrote, "I just went from 30 connections to 180.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember how long it took me to get to 500. This other woman and I were having like a race to see who was going to get there first. Now I have like almost 6,000. So not too shabby. But at any rate, I remember those early days. So I decided that when my manager gave me the idea of doing what I do today by saying, "Hey, Joyce, since you're so good at talking to our students into, engaging us with social media, have you ever thought of helping other people your age, your baby boomer age?"
This was still back in 10?
This is back in 10,
yeah,
right.
Okay.
So I should have started that a little bit better. So 3 months after this rollout, I know it was March. I can't tell you the date, but I know it was in March. That's when my manager just casually said to me, "Since you're so good, and you're always leader of this little pack, at helping our students with the social media, have you ever thought of just on your own going and helping people of your age group to understand social media like you do?" You see, he was 35 years old at the time. I'm 61. He just was mind-boggled. He just couldn't believe that I would know this much. Like the age of
Yeah.
his parents, and knew, like,
Now, still, how did you know this much? Like, how do you feel you picked that up so intuitively?
That is a
Social
really
media
good question.
Thing, did it just really come?
It came to me like a duck to
naturally, like you
water.
understood it.
I like to network.
Yeah.
I like to make a point. You ask people in business groups around the Denver area, a lot of them may have heard of me or
Yes.
met with me.
Yeah.
I have
And I've
like
run across you
4,000
and-
people in my database or
Yeah.
something.
I ran across you, I think, in some networking groups before, and then we connected on LinkedIn, and I,
Right.
kept seeing you show up.
Right.
and-
I do this in the face-to-face world
Yeah.
really well. I've always been well networked wherever I've been. Even in college, I was. So I think it's like just in my genes or something in my DNA to have this desire to know who people are. And the other part I like is this person over here and this person over here. Wouldn't it be great to get them together? Not, I mean, like dating, like socially. I mean, like in business. So that's always been appealing to me. So then social media comes along and it's just a natural for that.
Yeah.
So I don't say that I have like a marketing strength as much as a connecting strength. That is one of my top 5 gifts according to the Strengths Finder. FYI.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We talked about that.
Yes.
So I would say that, and because my mom and dad, very intelligent people. My mom more educated traditionally than my dad, but I'm going to say, what am I saying? I'm smart or something, but I think I'm curious. I'm intellectually curious, so I like to learn things. And my mother was always like that, especially my whole life. So I think that's partly why I like to know how things work. And
Yeah.
I think, generally speaking, I'm pretty good discriminating on which ones are the best fit for me.
Yeah.
So I guess that's just, and I ask people questions. I just am nosy. I say, well, how did that go? What did you do? And then I'm just persistent till I figure it out to the extent at a level I need to use it.
Yeah. Well, isn't that interesting that social media comes about and people are saying we're far less social because of social media?
There's
What
a lot
are
of
your
truth in
thoughts on that?
I think that's true. I think that people can get so embedded in their little life, in their phone, their iPad, whatever, that they're so drawn into that, they forget the person at the dinner table with them. And I think there's whole studies, and I'm no expert on this, on the Gen Z, the generation after the millennials, that are so tied to the hip to their devices that they have even more trouble than, say, the millennial age group, especially the older ones of them.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting. I mean, it is a part of us now. Like,
It is.
It's going to be wired
you can't
in
go
us at some
backwards.
point.
We're always there at some level. And
But I think that people miss the point that it's could be used as more of a positive thing. Like, we wouldn't have stayed in contact otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I personally I argue against the fact that social media is like we're less social because of social media, because I use it to be more social and connect with people and be able to get them off the platform. Like, my main intention when I'm connecting with people on social media is to get them off the platform.
Yes,
But that's where
think.
I find them, right?
Because you're thinking as also a business person for the most part, probably too. So that way, exactly, you want to I tell people, don't be messaging people on LinkedIn unless you know for a fact that they're a big LinkedIn user. Because that message, Lord knows when they're going to see that message. When you connect with someone you really want to, or you've maybe written a recommendation, call them, email them, whatever, so they know you did this thing for them. You need to move it off of that platform. I agree. To face-to-face, to phone call, to Zoom. Some you might use some other technology, but something separate from that.
Yeah.
I would definitely say.
And that's how you're using it too. Like, you're getting clients that you've never met in person from LinkedIn.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely correct. Right, they've come, a lot of them from LinkedIn. Some of referral from my other clients who know them, which was good because you want that. But yes, I had people who find me on the internet. I have a guy in San Francisco who found me by typing into Google LinkedIn one-to-one tutoring, and I was 4th in the search. I had another local guy with a local company here looking for training for his sales teams. He typed in Denver-based LinkedIn training, and I came up 8th on that search.
Wow.
And what came up? My LinkedIn profile.
Exactly,
Not my
yeah.
website.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So that's why I tell people LinkedIn, they're like, oh, I don't use LinkedIn, I'm fine. I'm like, you know what? Your LinkedIn is probably coming up in searches of you, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, because people are
And you wanna
Googling your
go
name.
and
They're
they're vetting you. They're
research,
vetting you.
yeah. Yeah. So
absolutely.
what like in your mind, and you're in this demographic, like, why trying to think how to word this. Like, what kind of struggles are baby boomers having with that adoption of technology? Do you think that the majority of them will catch on before that time passes, or the majority of the ones you talk to just like, I don't care, I'm just going to leave it be? Because I don't really know. I feel like it's kind of all over the place.
It is all over the place, and I'm really not one to evangelize. I'm not saying, well, come on, get with the program. You should be on LinkedIn. I mean, sometimes I kind of talk that way a little bit, but in general, I'm really only interested in speaking to the people who've had that change of heart, change of mind, whatever, like, gosh, I better suck it up and
So you're not taking the people that they're resistant to the social
like
media, and taking them over the fence. You're really looking at the ones that are like, okay, yes, obviously I need to get on board with this thing.
Yeah. Now, they still maybe have got a degree of resistance and struggle with it. An example comes immediately to mind as you were asking that question. A gentleman found me on the internet, or maybe it was LinkedIn, but it was, wasn't anybody new. He's in New Jersey. He's a very successful businessman. Had this company for decades. He's, I want to say, in his early 60s. All his employees are younger than him, and he's feeling left out. So that's where it comes as a degree of almost embarrassment of like, this train has left and I should be on that train, so help me catch up to it somehow, so at least I can understand it in my own way. So that's where I see what's prompting them to go with it. Or maybe they retired from some kind of corporate career or whatever career, government career, and now they have a business of their own. And that's happening a lot because boomers like to work. Boomers don't necessarily like to completely retire. I mean, they like to contribute is a better word. Not necessarily always paid work. But they realize, let's say if they have some business enterprise, maybe they need a Facebook business page for that. And they haven't done much with Facebook. I'm thinking about a client of mine I saw this past week. So we had to go through, in fact, 2 clients. And I had just walked them through some basics on Facebook so they understood sort of the overall infrastructure of it. And then we talked about it in the context of the business page. So, yes, so these are people that find me, refer to me. Maybe they were clients previously with a different platform. Then they come and say, okay, I need your help again.
Yeah.
So that's how that works.
And you've done both generations. What's kind of, is that all good? Oh, okay, yeah. What's the difference between mentoring the millennial generation or the other younger generations you have mentored and mentoring your age group?
Well, I say especially, I'm going to split the millennials a little bit.
Yeah.
The millennials, the boomers. Because the older boomers, let's say, especially guys, but some women too, don't have a lot of computer experience. So you say to them, copy and paste. I mean, I remember when I learned how to do that from my daughter, I was like, whoa, this is so cool, you could do that. Okay, seriously. And they're like, oh, how does that go again? So there's kind of just not they don't type fast, it takes them longer to find things and do things. So even the younger boomers, and certainly the Xers, are much more adept on the computer. And they go, do. I said, well, that was fast. You get more done with them in a period of time. There's just naturally there's a longer learning curve. Yeah. And just a quicker, because, I didn't touch my first computer till, oh my gosh, what was that, like 1989 or something, and I was 40 years old. I mean, just to put this in perspective.
So amazing. Even think about that. Like, we grew up with that stuff in our hands. Like, I remember my first game, 93. Okay. I remember my first Game Boy and like all that stuff, and I've always had that technology there. Yes. It's just incredible to think, and I so much empathize with the boomers and even the later Xers that just did not grow up with that stuff. Even my dad, he's in his 50s, and he still struggles to kind of navigate around certain aspects of technology and stuff like that, and kind of has a mindset, well, screw it, I'll just mess with it later. And so it's super fascinating. But is there more of a educational difference, like when you're actually working with a younger generational person and an older generational person? Do you feel like one learns real differently over the other?
That's a good question. Maybe, the younger one is just catching on because of just what you said, a context and a world, and they'll be through. Just the other day, I was doing a training with some people from Legal Shield, and there was a woman, I would put her maybe 40-ish, late 30s, 40s, and the other one lady we found out, she's right around my age, because she was talking about being in business school in Madison a certain year, like when I was in college. All right, so we're contemporaries, late 60s. Then there was a lady, I'd put her maybe 50-ish, maybe mid to late 50s. So I'll tell you, the questions the 40-ish lady was asking, the things she already knew, Hootsuite, you name it. She was going boom, de boom, de boom, and she was like, da, 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 and the other one was like, what? And they were, it was just a pacing as much as anything. And here's another thing, this may sound kind of cosmic, but those people know what they don't know, and they know that they don't know. So sometimes the older people, they don't even know that they don't know. Do you see what I mean? They don't even know the questions to ask, because they just don't have a background for it. They're just coming into it kind of cold, like, oh, what does that mean? Like hashtag.
Right.
There's a good one. People ask me, what is a hashtag? Well, hashtag helps. It's a search term. It's a way to help people find things. So they get confused with @ signs and hashtags, and there's a lot. It's like a whole, don't even get me going on emojis and, LOL. I don't know that stuff either. I just like I say, I know as much as I need to know. I'm kind of like a step ahead of my students.
Yeah.
And I don't pressure myself to say, oh, you must know. I don't have a Snapchat account. I think it looks kind of cool. I know people love it.
I think you would rock it out on it. You have so much to say. You should rock out a Snapchat account. Yeah, because even a younger generational person that isn't exactly your target audience, like they would be super fascinated to see what you're doing and hear your story and stuff like that. That's what
there you go.
Today,
you convinced me. Yep.
Yeah, you should mess around with it. But also Instagram's, and I have seen some boomers starting to move to Instagram, because I'm seeing Facebook kind of turning into like just too much noise. It's a lot of noise out there. It's hard to break through. And I can see why it's massively overwhelming for other generations, even for us. Like, there's information overload.
Yeah, I think Instagram, people don't tend to, the little I've used it, to go spouting off on political things. You're going to see the babies and the puppies and the scenery. And it's more kind of like Pinterest, Pinterest-like. But just more social, of course, than a Pinterest type, experience. So yes, you have to unfollow some people on Facebook, block them if you have to. Yuppers. Yeah. It's quite a platform. Yeah, it is, and people have used it all kinds of ways.
So your target, the folks that you're working with, who you're mentoring, the boomers. Right. They're finding you because they're maybe now just starting to peek their heads into social media, and they're seeing your, hey, I'm here to help you guys. Right. Don't be scared. Right. I'm here. Right. Let me hold your hand through this.
Yeah, that's really it. And I've even really talked about LinkedIn that much, and that is really my lead platform. I've alluded to it, brought it up different times.
Do you think that's where boomers are going first?
I think so. I think
LinkedIn
they feel
over Facebook, over Twitter, over Instagram?
For their business, for their brand. For their overall presence on social media. You're just crazy no matter what you do for a living if you don't have some LinkedIn presence. Maybe only people might exception, like, people that do hair and skin and nails, maybe you can get by without it. But at any rate, in general, what I like about LinkedIn is it's like the Joseph Axman style of me, is what you see is what you get. And you can put all kinds of information out there. You don't have to worry that your posts are being seen, because if you just post enough and repost, people will see it. Whereas on like a Facebook business page, if you have 100 likes, you might be lucky 5 people see those posts unless you shell out money to Facebook.
Right.
So annoying. So
it's that more personal branding, much more on LinkedIn platform compared to like marketing on Facebook.
Marketing on Facebook is a crapshoot, in my opinion. Now, granted, you could use the Facebook ads, you can target your population. I know you can do a lot with Facebook ads.
Yeah. So have you done Facebook ads for your
not as much
business?
As I could.
Yeah.
I have. My video consultant is pushing me in that direction, which is so ironic.
Right.
So I know I could do more of that. They're just whatever you want to spend on them. So it's more like I just haven't gotten around to it. It's sort of like YouTube. I need to go there too. You got to pace yourself. So I think that I just think you have sort of more control, for lack of a better word, within LinkedIn in terms of your overall presence. I think there's more things you can do that are completely free, and you can find people. You can find the people you're looking for, even with a free account on LinkedIn. There's limits, of course. We were talking about that, but you can do so much searching, finding your kindred spirits, finding your referral partners, finding potential clients. It's just amazing to me what LinkedIn is. Yeah. So I think that it's a good base.
Yeah.
And it's pretty safe. You don't see too much crap there. You don't see a lot of political points of view. I think people seem to monitor themselves pretty well.
Let's get more deep kind of into the why. Like, why are you out there still hustling and grinding and why baby boomers? Why are you really pushing to help your generation out with this stuff? Like, what's the reasoning behind all of it?
I think I just don't want to see them left behind. I don't want to see baby boomers be like me. If I, back in 2003 at age 54, had LinkedIn and really could have used it, maybe I wouldn't have been out of work for 9 months. There's a reason right there. So just to help people see the tools that are there to help them get to the next right job. So I do also help job seekers, not just business owners. That's a portion of my clientele. It's not who I target exactly. So that's one of the reasons, just to help people feel more connected to their fellow business people and not feel left out. And, sometimes I think, in a very deep level, I think that I can be a role model, and I've been told I have been, especially to women over 60. I say women in particular because that's who especially, most of my clients are women. That's who I really identify with. And they think, wow,
do you feel like there's more of a pride thing there with men of
I think
that generation? Like, they don't want to go seek out the help?
They don't want to ask for directions. I don't know. Basic guy making a great generalization, right? But I think they think, well, I'm going to figure it out. I'll DIY this. I'm good at going. That'd be nice, Joyce. I'll talk to you later. But I think women back to the roots and the berries and the guys who are out getting the meat, and we're like, well, how's it going with the nursing, dear? Look at little Johnny, he's getting so big. Women, our whole culture is that we help each other learn things, very collective sense of we're going to all do this together. And less competition maybe even too, and less ego to some degree. Right. But I also think that a lot of women who've been home moms, in a way representative of my life, out of the workforce for years, maybe decades, and then they want to come back in their 50s. It's not so easy, and you have the age discrimination and all of that. So they can see someone with this gray hair on purpose. I just never want to fool with this coloring thing, such a pain in the neck. So they'll see a person obviously older than them.
Gray hair's coming back, though.
I guess
it's a popular thing.
It's nice to know I'm in the vogue now.
Even our generation is dyeing their hair gray.
So get over it. Whatever you are what you are, what you look like.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, I think they can see me and say, wow, this is so inspiring. I have people who say to me, you inspire me. A lady just did that on LinkedIn last night.
Oh.
And so that is like, well, that's just sweet to feel like I'm just doing my own little Joyce thing, and then these other people are saying, well, if Joyce could do it, I could do it. So that's really deep down a big part of my why, is just showing up and having fun at what I'm doing. And they'll say, I could be like that too.
Yeah.
I could be energized and entertaining and with my peeps and just getting up in the morning and happy and excited. Low maintenance husband, that helps a lot. Very low, it doesn't ask me where I'm going. Oh, are you home for dinner? That's good. Write it on the piece of paper if you're out.
Yeah.
So I have to give him a lot of credit for all his support too.
So that gives you the energy, because you are so full of energy. And I think it's because you really do feel you have a purpose.
That's a lot of it.
I know a lot of your contemporaries who I sit and talk, fireside chat with, and they don't have that energy. I know people my age that don't have the energy that you have about what you're doing.
I think I'm happy, because for 40 years I was kind of, I sometimes cry when I tell this part. I was looking, didn't find anything. So when you are 61 years old and you think, wow, this looks cool. Here's what I could do when I grow up. What a concept. And you feel like I'm not wasted. Time's a wasting. I got people to see and places to go. Also, my dad had tremendous stamina. My dad, like I say, was a dairy farmer. My dad and my mom were super involved in the community. They were always running around doing good deeds here and there. So I think I have sort of this genetic ability just to go and go and go. I have to make myself go to bed at night, somewhere between 11 and 12. Like, okay, time for the crossword, time for the exercises, go to bed. My head hits a pill like, So I say I can rest when I'm dead. That's my line. I don't.
Awesome.
Once in a while I nap every couple of weeks, and I've really gone to the max too much. I think I'll take the afternoon off and sleep.
Yes.
But I like to be active and engaged, and I'm extrovert off the chart. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So when people energize me, then I'm around people. I get my energy.
Yeah.
So I put myself with people, and even weirdly, when you're on the social media, it feels like you're kind of with them, even though you're not really with them. So it also energizes.
But you can still get that energy from that comment you're getting. Someone reaching out saying, "Wow, it's so inspiring what you're doing." And I totally get what you're saying. Like, it's almost selfish, but in a way, like it keeps allowing you to turn out what you're doing. In a way, because I feel the same way when my contemporaries are like, wow, what you're doing is so cool and all this. I'm like, yeah, but what's next?
Yeah, you're just following your own path. Well, another thing I should really weave into this, come think of it, is I had this English major, and I'm a good writer and I'm a good speaker. I minor with speech. So what helps me too, in terms of my skill set I bring to what my work now, is that I can take somebody's, say, LinkedIn summary, and I can just make it shine. Sometimes women, especially, here's another interesting thing, have a hard time bragging themselves up. See, I'm all over that now. I've been in politics.
I think it's great.
I've been in sales. I've had to, talk myself up, right?
Yeah, I
so
think it's
at any
great.
rate, I took this woman's summary, and she said, oh, that was perfect. Thank you. Because what I sort of brought a few things out that I knew about her and just added it to them. It wasn't a lot, but it was just that extra piece that she was so happy.
Yeah.
So that's my editing and writing skills, and sort of seeing people really getting them pretty quickly so that I can help make this composite of them, that they just show up better. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Couple quick things. Tell us about your TED Talk.
Oh, my TED Talk that I've been putting on the back burner. Okay, when I get to the TED Talks, let's say not if, TEDx, I guess realistically, I would like to give a talk along the lines of, and this is my working title, Millennial in Disguise. And here's why. Because I feel the subtitle would be, we are not our generation. So you can't say, well, I'm in my 60s, technology is too hard for me, I'm going to just let it go. Or whatever it may be. I know people in their millennials don't say, I can't say I'm a millennial. I don't like millennials. And I am one. It's almost embarrassing. I really relate to those people in their 60s. Right. So what? Wherever you feel you have your affinity, that's who you are. And just now, wasn't that long ago that women should be a certain way or whatever it might be, and even racially or so many. Every possible manner, people were kind of segregated or limited or expectations were different. So that's where I'd like to go with it. It's tricky because people have talked about some of this before. An idea worth spreading. That's what TED Talks are supposed to be. So therefore, I have to really work at this. I've applied once. I didn't get in, so did 850 other women, once for the Mile High TED Women. Yeah. Been a year ago in the fall, I guess. Yeah. I've been to several TED events.
And I should connect you with Jill Tejan. I think we talked about her. She did TEDx here, and I believe it was the same one you're talking about. Yeah. So got to connect you guys up together.
That'd be great. Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And I have friends that have gone on to do TEDx, type talks. I believe I have one in me. I just feel like, having put a lot of time into it and seen people and the effort that goes into it, right now it feels like kind of a distraction for me as I still keep building my business, and I'll get there eventually. Yeah. I'm just not right forefront of my mind. So what is the next big thing that you would like to accomplish in your mentorship? The Sales Navigator we were talking about before we started.
Yeah, because you want to reach more people.
Yeah, I want to reach more people, and I want to go. This was somebody suggested this to me. She says, Joyce, let's get this straight. You had 17 years of experience in sales, and you're not teaching sales teams LinkedIn? Oh yeah, I guess not. Well, why don't you? Yeah. She didn't say mean well, you could. So then I've been all year kind of really ramping up into that, and I could teach them a lot of LinkedIn. I really can. A lot of these things are very transferable. The piece of it that I need to really understand better myself is Sales Navigator. It is $80 a month. Now, to me, that's peanuts. That's like one session. And I'm going pretty soon, by the way, from $85 to $95 an hour, which is still slightly under market rate, but I inch my way up there in my world. At any rate, so I'm thinking that's just one session. Yeah. All I need is one client a month that pays for my $80 a month. That's how I look at it. Yeah. I think people get nickel and diming sometimes in some of these, whether it's Facebook ads or LinkedIn, premium levels. So that's my next thing, because I just feel like when I can take my training, also, here's another thought, not just to the peeps here in the greater Denver area, but even nationally or internationally, through different go to webinar, whatever type of tools they're there to reach a larger trading audience. And I would love to see more people purchase my webinar series, because that's really available to anybody, anywhere. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing I'm working on.
So many, millions and millions of not only just boomers, but other people that just are super late in adopting social media. They could really, really use your kind of kick in the pants. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So with that, anyone listening to this, how can they find you?
The best way is just to go to my website. It's Boomers, BOOMERS, social media tutor, TUTOR.com.
It's so long.
It's long.
We got to work
I know
on
we
getting a
talked about
shorter
that.
domain name.
I've had other people say that, but I like it because it's me. And I could always have it. I know my business coach showed me the same thing.
Yeah. And LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn.
So
Joyce
put
Foistel.
yeah.
Just Joyce Foistel, FE.
All right, we're gonna work on your domain. We're gonna work on
we'll
Sales
talk about
Navigator.
that. Yeah.
I'll put your website down in the show notes. And I sincerely appreciate having you on the show today. It was really great hearing about what you're up to and everything, and I'm very excited to kind of see where we're going. And you know, we may end up working together on some stuff here in the future.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you. That was Mile High Mentors. Be sure to give us a follow on SoundCloud, Instagram, and we will chat with you next time.